Good morning. Pat Vantage here, the Evolution Coach and creator of The Inner Path and the 6-Week Shift, and author of this inspirational blog, Soul Talk. This is my first video version of my blog, which I've been doing for 3 years now. And the audio of this will also be my podcast for the week, which, again, it'll be my first podcast on iTunes soon, hopefully, if I can get the technology going okay. It is today, Saturday, July the 9th, 2016. This will come out tomorrow. And I've been doing it every Sunday or publishing it every Sunday for now 3 years, and this is the first week of my 4th year. So very happy to be here in this place, and not just this place, my home, but this place in my life and in my own journey, and looking forward to a next version of this and upping my energy into the video, and sort of becoming a little more vulnerable, a little more authentic in the delivery of this. So it's not something I've written already, it's just something that's going to come out as I speak today, so which I try to write that way, but I don't do it in such a finite time frame sometimes, so we'll see how it goes. What I want to talk about today, without being political or judgmental or whatever, just observing what's happening in the world and offering my soul perspective of that. And I don't have solutions, but maybe some suggestions, maybe some, again, observations that are just mine. It's just my perspective. Like everything is with what I offer here, it's something you can take or leave, and that's okay. I have no judgment and no attachment to that whatsoever. I just try to express my truth, and hopefully it touches. Well, I know that if I express my truth and I do that authentically, with integrity and wholeness, then when you hear it, when you see it, when you watch this or read the blog, it will touch the truth that's within you, and some part of that will draw that truth out of you, through you, because we're all connected. We're all one. I mean, if you look out at the world, it certainly doesn't appear that way. We're in this country and the world itself trying to separate ourselves, seeing ourselves as separate and trying to reinforce that separation, resisting any notion that there's a unity or oneness. In this country, the motto of the country, E pluribus unum, simply means out of many, one. And the struggle has been to in that process of recognizing the oneness of all of us, being willing and able to accept the diversity within that oneness. That's been the challenge, continues to be the challenge, and the purpose behind this great experiment that we call the United States. Creating unity where the truth is unity, but the appearance is diversity. The appearance is that there are many things when all the many things are part of the one. And it is only our perception that renders it separate. And what soul understands, and what I hope to express, is that the whole, the truth, is greater than the individual parts, the sum of the parts. That it is, the truth is always more. There's always more to it than what you can see when viewing the parts. And so, like the saying says, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, and soul recognizes that all of these parts are just the parts that we're playing, the roles that we are expressing in the moment. And soul recognizes that the perfection that exists within the parts and the whole. What happens is, and none of this is good or bad, I mean, it just is. It's just the way of things. It's the evolution of life. We begin to identify as the part. And when I identify as the part that I'm playing, what I want, that the mind wants that part, the ego wants that part to be the leading role. It wants that part to be the right part. And when it decides that its role is the right role, and the way that it plays it is the right way, then all others must be wrong. And the more we begin to identify with a particular part, whether that be a religion or a gender or sexual orientation or color of my skin or where I'm from or what my socioeconomic status is or whatever that happens to be. As soon as I think that part that I'm playing is the right one, is the best one, then all others become something less. All others then become at least a little bit wrong. Sometimes that shows up as something that I think is very wrong. Sometimes it shows up as something very subtle. Just a subtle judgment of, they ought to be doing this. That person ought to do this. They ought to do it this way. You know, they're not really wrong, but they're not right. Because I would do it this way. And what I would do must be right. Otherwise, what does my life mean? I mean, if I'm wrong, oh my God. And then some people that feel so bad about themselves, and they look to somebody else, some authority, to tell them what's right or wrong, and following that becomes the right thing. It's not my own thought about it, but it's somebody else's, and they know. And if I just follow that, then that's the right way. Yeah. And So it's critical. Yeah, it is or it isn't. It's helpful, perhaps, to first of all at least decide what it is that I want, what I believe, what I think, what's my truth. And that's something I can't find out here. That's something I can't find, but all of my exploring out into that, all of my identifying with this and this and this. I mean, I'm half Irish, quarter German, quarter French. I've said that for years and years and years, and the truth is that I'm a little bit of everything. I'm sure over the, if you trace my genetic history, it's the old term mutt or Heinz 57. That's the truth of all of us, and even that's just the human part of us, because that's not really who you are. That's not who I am. Who I am is soul. I'm soul. I'm a soul that is expressing my truth in all of these parts. And yet, I'm a part of the whole, as you are, as we all are, as the ground is, the earth, as the air is that we breathe, the water that you hear running in the back, if you can hear that. All of it. The sun that's shining, the clouds, the trees, the birds flying. It's all one. There's no real separation. Out of many, one. And that's just a small microcosm of the whole, that we are all, everything, part of this whole one life. We are life, expressing itself in infinite ways. And they're all perfect. Perfect. There's not a piece out of place. There's not one piece that's less than another. Not one. All of it is perfect. But hardly anyone really sees that. Maybe glimpses. But hardly anyone really sees that. There's always some piece that has to be out of place. We've had, in this past week, people killed by police officers, and then police officers killed by people in some sort of retaliation, and we have Republicans battling the Democrats, and we've got sanctions within those parties that battle against each other, and we have Great Britain, who's divided on being part of the European Union, and they're battling to resist the oneness and identify with the part that they think is the right part. And we're all doing that in some way or another, identifying as the role that we're playing in life, the part of life that we're expressing, instead of recognizing that it's just a part of the whole. And that the integrity of life, the wholeness of life is much grander than the sum of its parts. And until we collectively recognize that we're one, and that perfection is being expressed in every individual part of that one, we will always make our way right and another wrong. Even if it's in just a slight degree. If in any way I believe that my way is right, I'm automatically making somebody else's way wrong. Automatic. So consider that. How do you do that in your own mind? How does your ego do that? Even slightly, even the hint of it. The only way that I know to eliminate that, and eliminate's not the right word, to move beyond that, to transcend that thought, that idea, that identification, is to go within and to discover the truth that lies within you. And in that, as you pursue that to its end, there's in which there is no end. But as you pursue toward that, then you begin to recognize, you begin to see that all is perfect, that all is one, that all that I experience out here through my own expression of what I think, my own expression of who I believe myself to be in each moment, it reflects that back to me, and it gives me the experience of that. And when it's not the whole truth, soul recognizes that, and soul will continue to attempt to express itself as something greater than that. And in that expression, we have resistance, and in that resistance, we realize that there's more. And it's through that whole process of resisting and then accepting and then resisting and then accepting and then resisting and then accepting and continuing to move forward and to transcend each resistance, each level that we get to. It's that process of awakening to this soul that we are, that we begin to see the unity within the diversity. We begin to see the whole picture a little bit more. And it is only in that direction that life begins to be more clear. And that as I begin to look at life from the soul perspective, when I look with the eye of soul rather than the eye of mind and ego, I see truth. And the mind does not have the ability to do that. The mind can't comprehend infinity. The mind can't comprehend limitlessness. The ego can't accept that there's no right and wrong. But soul knows these things. Soul knows these things, and it is only in the pursuit of that, identifying as soul, that I recognize that all of the parts that are being played by all of the souls that exist are all perfect. And then I don't have to make somebody else follow me. I don't have to make somebody else align with my view. It becomes unimportant. It becomes actually contradictory to life. Except that it's not. And so that's the divine dichotomy that exists, that even my thought that it's somehow counterproductive to life is perfect, because it will lead me to realize that it's not, that it's a part of it, that it's a part of the process, that it's in transcending that I grow, that I begin to see a greater perspective of life, as whatever challenge you're faced with, whatever resistance you're experiencing, whatever whatever your ego and your mind have decided are wrong with life, those are the things that you're here to transcend, to move beyond. And they're there in your life, the experiences in your life, so that you have the opportunity to do that. Nothing wrong with it. It's perfect. There's no other way for you to get there than through that. And the same is true of all the things that are happening in this country, in the world, in your life, in my life. They happen so that I have the ability and the opportunity to transcend that, to recognize that isn't the whole truth. Just a little piece. Just a little piece. And it's a little piece that I'm resisting, and so it's there for me to transcend that resistance. Isn't life amazing? You're amazing. It's all of it. It's just perfection in expression. That's it. That's as good a definition for life as you'll find. As good as I can come up with anyway. So I so appreciate you being here and watching this through, and I hope if it touched you in some way that you might share it with others that might be touched as well. I don't have any great wisdom that's anything that you don't have. Whenever I just try to express my own truth as clearly and with as much integrity and wholeness as I possibly can, and I know, I trust that when I do that, if I do that, and it will touch the truth that's within you, and in doing so, will draw that truth out from you into your awareness, into your consciousness. And whatever piece of truth within you resonates with whatever truth I've expressed here, it'll show up. And you have a choice to decide what that means for you. And so share this in whatever way you'd like. Welcome to. And like I said, I don't have any particular advice or solutions to what's happening in the world, other than to tell you that it is in looking within and going within and discovering the truth that resides only within you, as my truth only resides within me, as his or her truth only resides within them. And yet it's all the same truth, just being expressed in different ways. But by going within, connecting with the truth that's within you, and then to live your life, not from the outside in, but from the inside out. That's my advice. Always, that's my advice. Live life from the inside out.